We're continuing to follow breaking news. An arrest is made in the mass shooting at Morgan State University. We have the latest on that investigation. Over 8,500 cars have been stolen in Baltimore just this year. Fox 45 investigates why some victims still can't get their car back from the city's impound lot. And later, Fox 45 is continuing our coverage on the war in Israel, why defense officials are calling on the White House to stop funding to Iran.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 6.
Breaking today, Baltimore police have arrested a 17-year-old in the Morgan State University mass shooting. The teen charged with multiple counts of attempted murder. BPD also issued an arrest warrant for 18-year-old Juvenile Williams. Officials say he's armed and dangerous. Anyone who sees him or knows anything about his location should contact the police. The arrest comes 10 days after 5 people were shot on Morgan State's campus. 4 of those victims were students. Baltimore and state police, the FBI, ATF, and other law enforcement agencies flooded the campus, but the suspects were able to escape the scene. Good evening, I'm Maxine Stryker. Thanks for staying with us. We begin tonight with Fox 45's Alexa Ashwell, who has the very latest on the arrest and the search for a second suspect.
Sources tell me both suspects have previous run-ins with law enforcement. And according to court records, the suspect investigators are still searching for, Juvenile Williams, was charged with gun crimes in Washington, D.C. earlier this year. Happening now, the search for the second Morgan State University shooter, identified by police as 18-year-old Juvenile Williams. Investigators are now saying it was Williams and a 17-year-old who opened fire on the university's campus October 3rd, shooting 5 people, including 4 students outside Thurgood Marshall Hall. The juvenile, who isn't being named due to his age, was taken into custody by police in D.C. just yesterday, today making his first court appearance. But Williams still on the run. According to Baltimore police, detectives identified the 2 teens using surveillance video. Following the mass shooting, police detailed they believe the shooting stemmed from a dispute between 2 groups, and the victims were not the intended target, releasing this footage saying they were looking to identify 4 persons of interest. Days later, the department announcing a $9,000 reward in the case, along with a still image. And earlier this week, releasing these clearer pictures. Still, investigators releasing little further detail about the suspects. According to police sources, both suspects have previous run-ins with law enforcement. According to this court record, wanted suspect Juvenile Williams is already facing several gun-related charges after police executed a search warrant on a home in Washington, D.C. Williams, here named as one of 9 people found in the home with nearly a dozen firearms back in January. As for the suspect's believed connection to Morgan State University, university officials say there is none. In this release to the Morgan community, detailing neither are Morgan students nor have a connection to this university. The juvenile, we're told, waived extradition and is expected back in Baltimore sometime early next week. As for Williams, he is considered armed and dangerous. According to law enforcement, anyone with any information regarding his whereabouts is asked to call police. Alexa Ashwell, Fox 45 News.
In light of the arrest of a teen in the mass shooting, Fox 45 News continues to press Mayor Brandon Scott for answers on the youth crime crisis. It comes as many families at Morgan State University are questioning whether Baltimore is a safe enough city to go to school in. Fox 45 questioned the mayor during a community walk in North Baltimore this afternoon. He tried to assure families that the city is making progress in the war on crime.
The alumni of Morgan State also understand that this is happening in campuses throughout the country, and we have to have the real conversation that it doesn't matter if you're in the Morgan State's campus, if you're in Bowie State's campus, if you're in a high school, if you're in middle school, elementary school, whether you're at the supermarket, you're at the mosque, you're at the synagogue, you're at a church, you're at the mall. Nowhere in America is exempt from gun violence, and until we deal with this issue as a country, cities and states will be left alone to deal with it, and that's not enough.
The mayor also calling for the rebuilding of the entire juvenile justice system, but did not address how that should happen. Jeff Abel will have a full report on the mayor's comments on Fox 45 News at 10. Again, the suspect who was arrested in the Morgan State shooting, just 17 years old, the latest juvenile accused of committing violent crime here in Maryland. This week, the Carroll County State's Attorney joined a growing list of prosecutors calling for Annapolis lawmakers to make a change in the state's juvenile justice policies.
We're seeing like a revolving door, the same juvenile offenders over and over again, coming in the door and then going back out the door. To continue to engage in their nefarious activities. There's not a whole lot we can do about it because we're hamstrung by the laws that are in place.
More than a dozen state's attorneys from across the state calling for an overhaul of juvenile justice reform. In total, the group represents more than 5 million people, about 87% of the state's population. The call's also coming from lawmakers across the state who say the violence is getting out of hand.
It's an epidemic and a crisis that has to be addressed at every level. I am going to have conversations with the governor. He's reached out as well to bring all of us to the table. There is no excuse for violence, none. I don't care the age of the child who commits the violence. Living in a safe place is a fundamental right of every person in this community.
For more of our coverage on the juvenile crime crisis facing Maryland, including the concerns coming from police and parents, head to our website, foxbaltimore.com. The Maryland Transportation Authority police are investigating a robbery that happened on I-95 in Baltimore City. Police say the victim was driving when he stopped near exit 58 because they saw a car stopped. According to the victim, a man near the stopped car walked up to his window demanding money and jewelry. Police say the suspect then hopped back into his car and drove off in the direction of 95 North. The victim says the suspect was an older man with blue eyes, wearing blue jeans, red shoes, and navy blue and white striped shirt. Anyone with information should call police. The number just keeps ticking up. New crime stats posted by Baltimore police this week show more than 8,500 cars have been stolen in the city so far this year. That's a 229% increase in auto thefts compared to just last year. Fox 45's Amy Simpson continues our coverage of the auto theft crisis here in the region.
It feels like we've just scratched the surface, only hearing from some of those more than 8,500 car theft victims in the city so far this year. But we're also pushing to learn more about what it's taking for those drivers to get back on the road. It's considered a property crime, but it's a crime with very real impacts.
Well, at first when I found out, I was trying to believe that I had parked somewhere else.
Brazen thieves even caught on camera stealing a car from FOX45's lot in the middle of the night.
I was mad. I'm mad. I'm watching 4 little kids, maybe 15, 16, jump out of a car 1:30 in the morning.
Sometimes stolen cars are taken for a joyride. Sometimes police say they're used to commit other crimes. And sometimes stolen cars are damaged and dumped by thieves, towed and taken to city impound. Last month, those cars were only visible here through the trees from a ramp onto the interstate. But now Fox 45 News has learned hundreds of stolen cars are sitting at the city's main impound lot, located just off Pulaski Highway. According to the city's Department of Transportation, 653 stolen cars were at that Pulaski lot as of September 26th. Today, we asked for more up-to-date data on those stolen cars sitting at impound and what's being done to connect these stolen cars with their owners. A DOT spokesperson responded to say resources are focused on preparing for this weekend's marathon and is unable to accommodate our request. Just yesterday, we asked the city, when can Fox 45 schedule a tour of the impound lot? We'd like to see the impact of the 200+% increase of auto thefts so far this year. But a quick rejection from the city. City tow lots are working lots. We do not facilitate media visits. A DOT spokesperson said.
They said, well, we're not going to release your car unless you pay the 2 speeding tickets.
This Rosedale woman said it took a month for her stolen car to be released from city impound, saying she had to pay off speeding tickets racked up by the criminals.
They shouldn't make me a victim 2 and 3 times. I was a victim once with my car being stolen. I was a victim with the insurance company, and I was a victim with the city of Baltimore.
And another victim spoke of her trip to the impound lot this summer, sharing pictures of her stolen Hyundai after being hot-wired and taken from outside her home in Riverside Park.
In the impound, the Baltimore City impound lot, if you do visit it, you'll notice that there's like sections specifically for Hyundais and Kias that were smashed, and I'm just lucky that my vehicle wasn't one of those.
And week by week, we're tracking this data with more than 8,500 cars stolen in the city of Baltimore between January 1st and October 7th. That's more than 30 cars stolen every day, more than a car stolen every hour in Baltimore City. Amy Simpson, Fox 45 News.
If you have a stolen car story or know someone who's been impacted by the spike in auto thefts, we want to hear about it. Just scan the QR code on your screen and tell us what happened, or send an email to news@foxbaltimore.com. Family, loved ones, and law enforcement from across the region gathering today to say goodbye to Ryan Demby, the 23-year-old Howard County Sheriff's deputy shot and killed while off duty in Federal Hill. That shooting happened 2 weeks ago. Police arresting 40-year-old Jewel Crowder for his death. The loss, too much for some of Demby's closest friends.
You never think that him going out to celebrate on the night that the Orioles won a game, you would not think that your son is not coming home.
I could not imagine, right, who would do something like this in that setting over words being exchanged. Something's going wrong in our society.
Demby was set to turn 24 next Friday. He had only been with the Sheriff's Department for 6 months at the time of his death. The last time a Howard County deputy was killed was back in 1946.
Defense experts say the U.S. must find a way to stop a widespread war in the Middle East. I'm Janae Bowens in Washington with a look at strategy.
And we are getting ready for our next weather maker. It's already leading to areas of rain. I'll let you know when to expect rain in our region coming up in my Weather Authority forecast.
Continuing coverage now on the war in Israel. Israel has confirmed its military is now conducting small raids in the Gaza Strip in between airstrikes. The military says that the raids are attempts to locate the up to 150 hostages Hamas took during their attack last weekend. Meantime, the death toll in the conflict continues to rise. Palestinian officials in the West Bank say Israeli soldiers killed at least 8 people during clashes with protesters overnight. In total, more than 1,800 civilians have been killed in Gaza, while Israel is reporting 1,300 deaths. Israel also believes it has killed more than 1,500 Hamas soldiers. At the White House, the Biden administration announced the president has spoken with family members of some Americans believed to be held hostage in the Gaza Strip.
The president conveyed directly to these families that they have been in his prayers and reaffirmed for them that the United States government is doing everything possible to locate and bring home their loved ones. Several of the family members shared information about their loved ones, personal stories and experiences that they have gone through as they endure this, quite frankly, unimaginable ordeal.
Tonight, defense experts are calling for the U.S. to cut off funding to Iran and to stop the Israel-Hamas war from turning into a widespread Middle East war. National correspondent Janae Bowens has the story.
We have to stop fueling the world's largest state sponsor of terrorism.
Director of the Center for National Defense at the Heritage Foundation and one of the principals behind the Abraham Accords, Robert Greenway says the U.S. strategy for the Israel-Hamas war must include cutting off funding to Iran.
Since January 2021, when the administration decided to reverse course and pursue a policy, frankly, of appeasement with the Islamic Republic, they've benefited to the extent of some $80 billion.
Following reports that Iran supported the deadly Hamas attacks in Israel, the United States and Qatar will not allow Iran to access the $6 billion originally promised as part of a deal to free 5 Americans detained in Iran.
Not a dime has been accessed, and we are watching it very, very closely.
Greenway says the U.S. must also work to contain the war to Israel and Gaza.
A regional escalation could include Hezbollah in Lebanon, different militant groups and terrorist organizations in the West Bank and in Jerusalem, and then Iranian surrogates and proxies from Syria, Iraq, and Yemen.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken says the U.S. is working with Qatar to ensure the conflict doesn't turn into a widespread war in the Middle East.
We discussed in detail our efforts to prevent any actor, state or non-state, from creating a new front in this conflict.
The potential global impact of this war and the war in Ukraine led J.P. Morgan Chase's CEO and chairman, Jamie Dimon, to give a stark warning in the company's latest report, saying in part, this may be the most dangerous time the world has seen in decades.
And Maxine, experts warn this war could lead to negative effects on the world's energy and food markets, global trade, and geopolitical relationships.
And Janae, are there security concerns or threats around Hamas here in the U.S.?
Well, the White House says there is not a threat to the U.S. at this time. However, Greenway, who you just heard from in the piece, says terrorists coming in from the southern border is a concern, especially with more than 150 people on the terrorist watch list being apprehended this year alone, which is an all-time high. Maxine.
All right, Janae Bowens live for us in D.C. tonight. Thanks so much for joining us.
Right now, you're taking a look over Towson and over the harbor. It's absolutely beautiful outside. Still dry around our region on the HD radar, but you can see some showers. That is all a part of our next weather maker, and that will have an impact on your weekend forecast. Temperatures 67 this evening, absolutely gorgeous with plenty of sunshine and light winds out of the east. Around the state, we're mainly seeing temperatures in the 60s. It's been a lovely day and a great start to the weekend, but we have our next weather maker on the way. That's this cold front that's already leading to areas of rain around parts of the country. That's heading our way. Tonight, though, we do stay dry before the front moves in. Temperatures will drop to the 40s and 50s, and then highs tomorrow only reaching the 50s and the 60s. So we're going to stay below average once the rain moves in and as the clouds move in as well. Notice overnight, clouds start to move in early tomorrow morning. We'll stay mostly dry around daybreak, but shortly after that, the showers follow. So this is around 11, 12 o'clock. We are looking at rain moving into the state. It'll continue off and on, and at times the rain could be heavy. It lasts overnight and starts to taper early Sunday morning. This model, the HRRR, has us mostly dry around daybreak for Sunday. Into the afternoon, we're looking at a good mix of clouds and sunshine. Temperatures, though, still below average behind that cold front. It's also going to be breezy. 51 overnight with mostly clear skies. And this is the quiet before the rain arrives tomorrow. In the late morning, expect showers. These will continue throughout the day. Temperatures will rise to 63, and that means that we'll stay below average. A big change from the 70s that we had today, but next week we are looking at warmer temperatures returning, and that means that we'll start to get a little bit closer to average. Coming up, I'll have a closer look at the timing of the rain, and I'll let you know what to expect for next week in the exclusive 10-day forecast.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
It's beginning to look a lot like winter at Colorado's Copper Mountain. The ski resort there is scheduled to open 1 month from today. Not a lot of snow fell at Glacier National Park, but the Montana landmark is certainly showing off its fantastic views and fall colors. And these North Carolina black bears look like they're more than ready to go into hibernation.
For more content like this, like the National Weather Desk on Facebook.
A controversial new bill to limit tip credits for servers and bartenders causing backlash in 2 Maryland counties. A look at the back and forth between both sides is coming. As leaders in Montgomery and Prince George's counties discussed a bill that would limit tip credits for servers and bartenders, a state restaurant group made its case against it. Brad Bell from our Sinclair sister station in D.C. has a look at why employees in both counties want it eliminated.
Save our tips! Save our tips!
Chanting "Save our tips" and wearing green shirts emblazoned with the same demand. Prince George's County restaurant servers marching towards pink-shirted people gathered by the national activist group One Fair Wage, interrupting their press conference called to support a controversial bill which would establish a $15 wage for tipped workers. The bill sponsored by Council Member Ed Burrows.
The entire point of this bill is to put an end to poverty wages in our county. $3.63 an hour is simply unacceptable. What we want, when we want it, now.
The issue is the actual restaurant workers, those in green shirts, say they don't want the bill. They fear service charges added to restaurant tabs to cover the hourly wage will eliminate their tips.
With the tips, I make more than minimum wage, way more.
We don't complain, it's other people complaining, not the servers.
That difference of opinion setting the stage for acrimony. At an earlier event called by the Restaurant Association of Maryland to oppose the bill, activist Larry Stafford from the group Progressive Maryland, who supports it, argues with a restaurant owner who asks him to leave, and then as he goes, he honks his car horn.
It's a good idea. The problem for this activist group, we have a couple members from a national activist organization here today that wants to take away your tips. Are we okay with that?
Yeah! Ashley, who works at the Greenbelt IHOP, says she has a message for the activists and the county council.
Mind your business, because I totally enjoy what I do.
We are getting ready for a quiet night, but then tomorrow rain comes as we get ready for a cold front. Afternoon temperatures will only reach the low to mid 60s as the rain arrives. There could be areas of heavy rain at times, and this continues off and on throughout the day and overnight. There's the chance for a few very early showers on Sunday. Otherwise, highs reach 62 with partly cloudy skies. Then for Monday, 61 and mostly cloudy. We'll have the chance for more showers on Tuesday, but the day won't be a washout. After that, we're looking at a dry end to the work week with rising temperatures. Unfortunately for the upcoming weekend, though, there is the chance for more rain. Maxine?
Well, finally tonight, it's Friday the 13th, and to honor the spooky day, one candy company announced their pretty sweet deal for Halloween. M&M's announced they're launching a new Halloween rescue squad to bring free M&M's to people who ran out of candy for trick-or-treaters. The company is partnering with the food delivery company GoPuff to help deliver to homes who make requests on the Halloween Rescue Squad website after 3 p.m. Eastern Time on Halloween. And we want to see how you're celebrating Halloween. Make sure to send us your pictures and videos by scanning that QR code there on your screen or by heading to foxbaltimore.com/chime in. That's all for Fox 45 News at 6. Family Feud is next. We'll see you again tonight at 10. Have a great night.